SBTi alignment moves upstream in beverage supply chains. BarthHaas Group announced it will develop near-term emissions reduction targets aligned with the 1.5 degrees pathway under the Science-Based Targets Initiative, SBTi. The company joins a growing list of upstream agricultural and ingredient suppliers formalizing decarbonization roadmaps in response to buyer, investor, and disclosure expectations. The commitment requires Scope 1 and 2 targets covering at least 95% of operational emissions. More significantly, for agricultural processors, it also requires a Scope 3 target, often the dominant emissions category in horticulture and food ingredient supply chains. That shift is increasingly structural across the beverage and agri-food ecosystem. Why ingredient suppliers are moving now? Downstream beverage brands, including AB InBev and Heineken, have already validated science-based targets. Their climate commitments extend into purchased goods and services, creating measurable pressure on ingredient suppliers to quantify and reduce embedded emissions. As procurement contracts increasingly incorporate Scope 3 reporting requirements, upstream suppliers face three practical realities. Buyers are requesting emissions data with greater specificity. Reduction roadmaps are moving from optional to expected. BarthHaas confirmed it is building a group-wide greenhouse gas inventory and modeling a 5 to 10-year reduction pathway before submitting targets for validation later this year. For sustainability and compliance teams, that timeline reflects the typical SBTi process. Establish baseline inventories, identify operational levers, and formalize reductions with external oversight. Operational decarbonization in processing environments. Unlike consumer-facing brands that focus on packaging or offsets, industrial agricultural suppliers often concentrate on site-level energy and process optimization. BarthHaas indicated measures under review include converting production waste into biological fuel for heat generation, expanding photovoltaic capacity, consolidating facilities to reduce process redundancy, recovering process gases. For operators, these are not abstract ESG initiatives. They intersect directly with energy cost exposure, facility modernization cycles, and long-term production resilience. Climate variability adds another layer. Horticultural inputs are highly sensitive to temperature and precipitation shifts. For hop production in particular, yield stability and quality are climate-exposed variables. Mitigation and adaptation strategies, therefore, increasingly overlap. The expanding perimeter of SBTi in agri-food. The SBTi, a collaboration among United Nations Global Compact, World Resources Institute, Worldwide Fund for Nature, and CDP, has become the dominant framework for corporate climate target validation. Within food and beverage supply chains, SBTi alignment is increasingly functioning as a qualification signal for major buyers, a disclosure benchmark for investors, a competitive differentiator in consolidated markets. Companies such as Danone and Olam Group have already embedded SBTi-aligned pathways into long-term strategy, placing additional pressure on upstream producers to demonstrate compatibility. What this means for sustainability and procurement teams. For suppliers not yet aligned, the direction of travel is clear. SBTi commitment does not guarantee emissions reductions. It does, however, formalize a defined reduction trajectory, annual disclosure expectations, external validation and oversight, cross-functional integration between sustainability, procurement, and operations. For compliance and supply chain leaders, the question is less whether SBTi is relevant, and more how quickly buyer expectations will incorporate validated targets into commercial decisions. BarthHaas's announcement reflects that transition. Decarbonization is becoming embedded in supplier qualification, not just sustainability reporting. You've been listening to Sustainability Soundbites by Environment+Energy Leader. For partnership opportunities, please reach out to our team.